Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to talk about keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to show you how to go in and customize your keyboard shortcuts for the panels, tools, and the menus as well. It's important to know this because you may be working in several applications, and I think it's a great idea to make sure you have all of the keyboard shortcuts match from each application so you don't have to remember as much. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I know the natural keyboard shortcuts that are in all of them, but I still modify them and change them so it's all streamlined. So let's go ahead and get into it. Enough talk. Okay, so in order to create custom keyboard shortcuts, we're going to go up to Edit, go down to Keyboard Shortcuts. Okay, you'll see there's actually a keyboard shortcut to access this. So you may or may not want to memorize that. I've never taken the time to memorize it, but it's pretty straightforward. Command, Option, and Shift K. So now we're going to go ahead and go inside here and let you see what we have. So you'll see there's two things, keyboard shortcuts, and then there's the menus. Okay, so let's deal with keyboard shortcuts first. When you have keyboard shortcuts, when you have the shortcuts for, you'll see that we have tools. We have application menus, panel menus, and tools. So that means any of these items here we can make keyboard shortcuts for. Okay, so if we start with tools, this is going to relate to the tools that are in the toolbar. You'll see that we have access to them with the letters that you have available. If we wanted to, we can go in and type on any one of these sections and give it a new keyboard shortcut. Okay, so we also can scroll down to the bottom, and now we're going to have some tools that do not have keyboard shortcuts. So this is where you might want to turn these on. Okay, so right now you can see I'm actually accessing my set that I already have created. It's Revels 2018. If you look here under Toggle Mixer Brush Auto Load, basically this is usually empty. I basically came in here and typed in H. Okay, underneath here, Toggle Mixer Brush Sample All Layers. This is the tool that I also have set up to A. Now, let me go ahead and click OK. So now you're going to see what those keyboard shortcuts are doing. So for example, if I come in here and start to brush, it allows me to paint. Okay, because I'm in the mixer brush, what you'll see if I tap the letter H, now what you'll see is this little box in the top corner is turned off. Now this brush is no longer going to have paint on the brush. What it's going to allow me to do is to turn this into a blender. Okay, I'm going to go over this more in depth next week and talk about all of the mixer brush and blenders and how to work with this. But I just want you to see how I just created a keyboard shortcut. It allows me to turn that on and off just by hitting the letter H. Okay, now the other thing, and I'll show you just really quickly, I made a keyboard shortcut when I tap the letter A. Okay, so let me turn this to a mixer brush. So I have this as a mixer, or excuse me, as a blender brush. If I come in here, you'll notice that it's not allowing me to blend. I have a new layer, and it's not allowing me to blend. Now, if I tap the letter A because I gave it a keyboard shortcut, it's allowing me now to sample all layers. Okay, so now I just have a new keyboard shortcut set up. And again, we're going to go into this in depth next week, but for now I just want to show you keyboard shortcuts. So let's go back into the keyboard shortcuts. So let's go Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts. Now, so you can see we have various tools in here that we can play around with, give new keyboard shortcuts. We can come back in here to Panels. Okay, so what is this? So with panels, if we go into, let's say for example, adjustments. Okay, so under adjustments, what is that? That's basically essentially like your adjustment layers. It's the panels on the side. So if I came over here, you'll notice if I tap, I want to give this a keyboard shortcut. Now, here's the key thing. This is not the adjustments that you're going to access from the menu bar. This is the panel, or the little palettes to the side. I usually call them palettes, but their correct name is panels. If I came in here and I want to use levels, okay, the same way I would use in the menu bar, what I might try as a keyboard shortcut is maybe Control-Option-L. Oh, that one won't take, so let's try Command-Option-L. There we go. So Command-Option-L. So right here it's telling me it's already in use. Levels with last use settings is accepted. Well, I'm just going to say accept. All right. So now, if I'm in here and I want to create an adjustment layer, if I do Command-Option-L, it's going to give me an adjustment layer. Now you can see everything's accessed up to the top and to the bottom here. So for me, I like to have adjustment layers with keyboard shortcuts. I mirror the same keyboard shortcuts that you would have in the menu bar. I just throw the Option key with it. Now I can do this a lot faster just by accessing it this way. Okay, so that's how you would make the keyboard shortcuts for panels. Now, anytime you see a panel anywhere to the side here, you would have access to the adjustment layers. Now, if I go back up here again, keyboard shortcuts. Okay, now if we go to application menus, this is where you would access the keyboard shortcuts for any of the menu bars above. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to do the adjustment levels, it would be under Image. I'd scroll down, try to see adjustments, and you can see that it already has Command L. Now, you could change that if you want to. You can also come down here to exposure. Would I want that to be a keyboard shortcut? Well, what could I use? Maybe Command-Option-Shift-E. That's already in use, so I don't want to use that. Okay, so undo change. What else can I use for exposure? I like the letter E. What if I do Shift-E? Can't do that. So what if I try Command-Option-Control-E? Probably exposure. Now, this one says the Option key is used for exposure with last use settings. Assign option. So maybe I will accept this one. So I'll go ahead and do this one. Accept. And now I have exposure going to be accessible to me once I hit that keyboard shortcut. Now let's go through a couple more things here. If you look up here under menu, what is this? So you'll see under the menu for it, we have application menus and panel menus. The exact same thing. Application menus is the menu bar above, and panels are the little palettes or panels that are on the right side that pop up. Now, if you go inside of here, I'll give you an example of what this is. So I will do it from panel menus, which will be the palettes to the side. So let's go to layers. So if I go to layers, and you see here, I turned on new layer, and I have a red color. That's not usually on. I already have it on for you. What I'm going to also do is go copy CSS. If I click here, I can give it a color. All right. If I click OK, and then I come over here to the layers menu bar, I pop open, you'll see now these are going to have color attributes to those controls. This can make certain things pop up for you, easy to see quicker. Something you might want to consider doing. You don't have to do it. A lot of the tutorials, I don't have them on just because I don't want to confuse people, but it is something that is very user-friendly and will help you. There's a lot of benefit to this. Now, let's go back in here. I want to show you one last thing before we get out of here. So, keyboard shortcuts. Now, if you create keyboard shortcuts and you have all of these things here, okay? So let's talk about a couple things we can do here. So if you come up here, you'll see we have these controls here. So what this will allow you to do is if I click on save all changes to the current set of shortcuts, I can create a new set based on the current set of shortcuts. So if I click on this, it'll take you inside of the keyboard shortcuts in your library panel. Then you could give it a new name. Okay, so I'll just say demo test. Okay, so now I'll have access to these keys in case I lose them or I want to give them to a friend, a colleague. Also, if you're gonna, sometimes when you update your software, sometimes things will get lost. So it's always good to have a backup for everything. Okay, so now I would have that saved. Now, one last thing, if we come down here to summarize, this is important because with summarize, if we click on this, what's going to happen is it's going to drop in a summary. So I'm going to click it save. Now, what's happening here? So let me go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull this up because it popped up on my other screen, on my other monitor. Let's pull this up. Now, what is this? This is basically an HTML file showing you all of your keyboard shortcuts that you have. If you want to know Photoshop's keyboard shortcuts, you can hit the summary before you even do your adjustments and it'll give you the same window. And now you can just scroll through and access all of the keyboard shortcuts. If you don't know any of the shortcuts, you want to learn them faster, this is just a quicker way to get to it, okay? Okay, so that wraps up creating keyboard shortcuts. This is something that I highly recommend because if you want to get really proficient working in Photoshop or any application, you want to dive into the keyboard shortcuts as soon as possible. Change them and make them yours, make them your own so you have full control over what you're doing, okay? So, if you found this video helpful, and you learn something from it and you want to keep staying in touch with me as I go down the road with these Master 101 courses or tips, just go ahead and click the subscribe button below, hit the bell button so you can be notified. Also, just stick with me. We're going to keep going, and eventually I'm going to get into the painting part of it, which is fun. But again, I want to have all of this stuff taken care of so that when people are asking me how to do certain things, I won't have to take time out doing that. I can spend all of my time on just painting techniques, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. Okay, so in the meantime, I'll see ya, and peace, deuces, and keep painting.